Back to a financial journey. So today we are going to be listening into the shareholder meeting, the earnings or the shareholder meeting annual one. Obviously there's a lot of things that is going to be discussed in that, a lot of exciting things. Hopefully we're gonna listen in, hopefully go through some of the 5 points proposals. To be fully honest, I've actually never participated in a shareholder meeting, even though I've been investing since roughly about 2009. Never actually cared or really paid attention to it, to be honest. But since me covering Lucid as much as I do, I decided to actually pay attention to this and sign up. So we're going to be listening in. I do have it behind the scenes, so we're going to pay attention and go through the actual everything that is said. They clearly have the agenda, the proxy statement, which ultimately is this. There's going to be 5 different proposals that is going to be voted on. One of which is the election of the directors. Then there's the ratification of the selection of the independent registered public accounting firm. I know, exciting stuff, eh? Approval on a advisory basis of the compensation of our named executive officers. Approval of an on a advisory basis of the frequency of the future stockholder advisory votes on the compensation of the named executive officers. And I personally like number 5 the most, approval of the amendment of the Lucid Group 2021 stock incentive program. So that's paying out to employees. That is going to be, I think, out of anything, one of the most influential things that is voted on. So I think that's going to be a interesting time. How is it going? Let's go guys. Okay, so I have it on my ear, so I'll be able to kind of tune us in. You can see a live ticker to at the very bottom of the screen as well. Very much red day. I'm not going to really touch on that per se, but keep in mind, similarly like earnings, when something is positively said, you'll be able to see what is happened to the price. So if something comes out and they say, you know what, I don't know, a good surprise, good catalyst that maybe wasn't known, you'll see that reflected in the price as well. But generally, we're holding fairly well. A lot of other growth stocks are getting completely killed today, but today it is what it is, right? So it looks like it's roughly about 9 minutes. If you guys have any questions about any of this, highly suggest just let us know in the comments. Again, there's going to be the 5 things that they do vote on, and like I've already mentioned, I've never actually participated in one of these, so we'll see what other factors that is brought up. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. And I think over the last several weeks, there's been a lot of positive things coming out for Lucid, and I think personally, I don't know, there's not really much negative things that's come out for Lucid. Like, production numbers are starting to ramp up, and I think, like I said, going back to this, the only thing that has a significant monetary value that we need to really focus on is the proposal number 5, which ultimately does say that it can do up to, well, at least they're voting on 15 million shares, which obviously would be roughly about 277-ish million, works out to be, for employees, incentive programs. And this is going to be vested for between a 1 or 2 year period. And in the past, I've experienced this, and this is a very good way to keep employees. And I think this is a very good thing. It's going to be obviously a fairly costly thing, but based on rumors, it does look like Lucid's paying a little bit less than the surrounding area. So I think this might be the defining factor to keep that skilled labor in Lucid. So, hey Naveen, hey Tab, yes, I am back. Thanks, Tab. Oh, did we Tab? Let's see. Let's refresh. Yes, you're right, Tab. We did regain it, only briefly, only because Neo is getting completely slammed. But still, yeah, number 2. I think, personally, if you're going to compare Lucid and Neo's been around for a while. They got some good price targets set for them, which kind of gave them a boost. But Lucid in general, like, we're in our first year of production, like, and we're number 2. Like, I think there's going to be, over the next year, a little bit more of a divergence. Tesla and Lucid are going to continue to move up at a faster rate than others. That's my own 2 cents. I could be completely wrong about that. Fair enough, Wicca. Well, at the end, I'll give you a good recap on everything. You are right. CPI data does come out tomorrow. So that's something that's causing a little bit of fear still. And that is... So tomorrow, 8:30. So, and I found it weird. Because typically you look at the month over month is a little bit higher. The year over year is in flat. Whereas technically a lot of people were assuming that it was going to go down. So that's it is what it is. It doesn't help that there's a lot of people now talking about recessions consistently now. Recession's going to hit. Blah blah blah. I find that a little bit overdone personally. But one positive thing, Lucid did hit top 10 or top 7 for Robinhood stocks to buy. So I like that. And similarly, JP Morgan came out yesterday and they're seeing still a bounce in a lot of growth stocks despite us going down. And I like this because I've been saying this the whole time. Looking at economic data, what's been coming out, overall, yes, there's CPI data and other factors that's not necessarily always the best, but they even say if we continue to see consumers, especially in the service side, holding up, which we do expect, then we'll think that investors will gradually go back into the equity markets because consumers have proven based on the data, they're still out there earning money. They're out there still spending money and they're doing what needs to be done. So I think they, hands down, are one of the only factors that's actually surviving and keeping the economy as high as it is. So on the Q&A, if I can actually see other people's questions. I don't want to put a stupid question like test and just get booted out. But once... Right now it's just background music, so once it does kick in, I'll put it audio and I'll mute myself so you guys don't hear me or anything. Hey Telmo, thanks for coming out. Marbat. Yeah, John, the amp is looking amazing. 100%. I'm very excited about that, and I don't know. It's really hard it's going to become, especially at the tail end of this year, even if there is a recession, nobody can really come out and say that Lucid is doing bad by any regard. Especially by that time, our production numbers will be up, or should be up at least. I haven't looked at this today. So it looks like just 2 mimicked orders on the black pool right now, $355,000 each, one at $1,889 and $1,894. And this is one thing I always do like. So today on Lucid, we did hit a low of $1,880. And this is why I always like to look at a lot of these things, because you see what institutions can actually do just with minimal amount of orders. Again, 355,000 isn't small by any means for us at least. For institutions it might be, but it goes to show that they can actually be able to bounce and push it higher. So always need to pay attention to what institutions are doing behind the scenes. But getting back to it though, if you guys have any questions, or if you guys voted, I do believe it's too late, obviously, to vote. You guys had to have voted by, looks like June 8th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard. So it's too late to vote, but obviously we will see what comes from it. Are you guys paying attention to any particular proposal that's being done? I think out of anything, number one, so the director, they do obviously have a certain level of say. And then proposal number 5. 4 could have some weight to it. So this is the approval for the advisory basis of the frequency of future stockholder advisory notes. So that's a backwards way of saying that they don't really have to kind of let people know as much as... Actually, it looks like we're asking stockholders to indicate whether they would prefer an advisory note every 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. Alternatively, stockholders may abstain from casting a vote. So it's basically kind of locking in your votes for an excessive amount of time. I don't really like that one particularly, so I think number 1 and 5 are the ones to watch for. So kind of stop the music for a second. Nope. I guess it just replayed it. You didn't receive a ballot. I believe you had to have been a shareholder as of April the 12th. If you were not a shareholder at that time, then I don't know. But the music did stop right now. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself and... Nope, still music. They just changed the music. Oh, no, they...
This is truly a great team effort, and it's this team that's made this happen.
Good morning. I hereby call the meeting to order. My name is Peter Rawlinson, and I am the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Technology Officer of Lucid Group Incorporated, and a candidate for election as Director. Welcome to the 2022 Annual Meeting of the Stockholders of Lucid Group Incorporated. I'd like to acknowledge that our meeting today is being held in an all-virtual format. I would like to welcome the current members of the company's board of directors who are joining me today. We also have a number of company officers here with us. Jonathan Butler, the General Counsel and Secretary of the company, will serve as Secretary of the meeting and record the proceedings. he has delivered an affidavit of Equiniti Trust Company, the registrar and transfer agent for our common stock, as to the distribution of the notice of the meeting, which states that on April 28th, 2022, notice of the meeting, together with the notice of internet availability of proxy materials, was distributed to all stockholders of record as of the close of business on April 12th, 2022, the record date for the meeting. This affidavit is available if any stockholders wishes to examine it and will be filed with the minutes of this meeting. Jonathan will now discuss the procedures for transacting the business of the meeting.
Good morning. An agenda that outlines the order of business for the meeting has been made available. The matters on which the stockholders at the meeting are voting are to, 1, elect the 9 nominees to serve as directors until the next annual meeting of stockholders and until their successors are duly elected and qualified, subject to earlier resignation or removal. 2, ratify the selection of Grant Thornton LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending December 31, 2022. 3, to approve on an advisory basis the compensation of our named executive officers as disclosed in the proxy statement. 4, to approve on an advisory basis the frequency of future stockholder advisory votes on the compensation of our named executive officers. 5, to approve the amendment to the Lucid Group Incorporated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan. 6, transact any other business that may properly come before the meeting. The agenda and rules of conduct have been posted on the online meeting site. The meeting will take place as described in the agenda. An opportunity to raise questions and comments will be provided after voting on the proposals described in the proxy statement. When the report of the inspectors of election is complete, we will announce the results.
Thank you, Jonathan. I hereby appoint Angela Stewart of Equiniti Trust Company as Inspector of Election for the meeting and any adjournment or postponement of this meeting. She has signed an oath to act as Inspector of Election, and this oath will be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
The Inspector has the stockholder list of the company as of the close of business on April 12, 2022, the record date for the meeting, which shows the stockholders and their respective number of shares entitled to vote at this meeting. This list is electronically available on the online meeting site if any stockholder wishes to examine it and will be filed with the minutes of this meeting. A quorum is present at the meeting, so I declare the meeting duly and lawfully convened. The meeting is now open and ready for business. First, however, I remind you that if you have already voted and do not intend to make any changes, there is no need for you to cast a vote today. Your vote will be counted automatically without any further action on your part. Any stockholder present who has not voted or who wishes to change your vote may vote at this meeting by using the voting link. It is currently 9:07 a.m. Pacific Time, and the polls have been opened. You may vote at any time during our discussion of the proposals on the agenda. The polls will close after the last proposal has been presented. The first item of business is the election of 9 directors of the company. The proxy statement made available to you earlier listed the company's nominees for director. I would now like to introduce to you the company's current directors and nominees for director who have been nominated to serve as directors by the company's Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee and Board of Directors. 𝗪𝗪𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, Director. Glenn R. August, Director. Nancy Gioia, Director. Frank Lindenberg, Director. Andrew Liveris, Director. Nichelle Maynard Elliott, Director. Tony Posawatz, Director. Peter Rawlinson, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Technology Officer, and Director. Janet S. Wong, Director. In accordance with the bylaws of the company, stockholders are required to provide advance notice of their intent to nominate candidates for directors. No such notice was received. Therefore, I declare the nominations for directors closed. A motion to elect 9 directors as described in the proxy statement is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote in favor of each named nominee. The second item of business is to ratify the selection of Grant Thornton LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending December 31, 2022. The selection of Grant Thornton LLP is discussed in the proxy statement that was made available to you earlier. At this time, I would like to recognize 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗡 and Dominic Mills from Grant Thornton LLP, who have worked on the audit of the company's financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2021, and are with us today. A motion to ratify the auditor appointment as described in the proxy statement is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote in favor of proposal number 2. The third item of business is to approve, on an advisory basis, the compensation of our named executive officers. The compensation of our named executive officers is discussed in the proxy statement that was made available to you earlier. A motion to approve on an advisory basis the compensation of our named executive officers is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote for approval on an advisory basis of the compensation of our named executive officers. The fourth item of business is to approve, on an advisory basis, the frequency of future stockholder advisory votes on the compensation of our named executive officers. The frequency of future stockholder advisory votes on the compensation of our named executive officers is discussed in the proxy statement that was made available to you earlier. A motion to approve, on an advisory basis, the frequency of future stockholder advisory votes on the compensation of our named executive officers is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote for the approval of, on an advisory basis, of 1 year as the frequency of future stockholder advisory votes to approve the compensation of our named executive officers. The fifth item of business is to approve the amendment to the Lucid Group Incorporated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan. The proposed amendment to the Lucid Group Incorporated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan is discussed in the proxy statement that was made available to you earlier. A motion to approve an amendment to the Lucid Group Incorporated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan is now in order. The Board of Directors recommends a vote for approval of the amendment to the Lucid Group Incorporated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan. We have received a question concerning proposal number 2. I will recite the question verbatim and then ask the company's Chief Financial Officer, 𝗪𝗧𝗪, to answer the question. The question is, can we change the external auditor to a Big Four accounting firm such as PwC, EY, Deloitte, or KPMG? Ms. House?
Thank you, Jonathan. Our audit committee assesses the qualification, independence, and performance of our independent registered public accounting firm, including any potential conflicts of interest every year. We believe that Grant Thornton has performed well as the independent registered public accounting firm for both the company and our predecessor company, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, Inc.
Polls will close shortly. If you intend to vote, you need to do so now.
I guess they are just being very suspenseful, right? Or I guess they're tallying everything. Hopefully they answer my question. I know we should test it. Siri, what is the weather like? We'll see at the end what the votes come out and if they affect the price at all. But yeah, I think majority of them is pretty basic stuff, with the exception of obviously, like I already mentioned, proposal number 1 and 5. Those are the ones to watch for. Like I said at the beginning, this is the first shareholder meeting I've actually ever participated in, so it's all new to me. We'll see. I don't know if this gap in time, I guess they have to tally the votes since they closed it, since they are following this criteria. So they've kind of went over everything, closing the polls, and now I assume they are tallying the ballots. So we'll see what comes from that. Very formal meeting though. It's not like the earnings call. They actually call to order and have it all adjourned, and it's very, very by the book. Hopefully they answer my question.
We have received a question on proposal number 5. I will read out the question. Can the vesting time period be extended outside of the 2-year plan? And I believe the question pertains to the 10-year duration of the stock plan, and vesting under the stock incentive plan would be determined based on market practice and what is permitted by law under the 10-year plan.
Oh, they asked my question. Sweet.
If there are no further questions at this time, I now declare the polls closed. I understand that the votes have been counted and the preliminary report of the Inspector of Election has been delivered to the company. The preliminary report of the Inspector of Election indicates that 𝗪𝗧𝗙𝗧𝗪, Glenn R. August, Nancy Gioia, Frank Lindenberg, Andrew Liveris, Michelle Maynard Elliott, Tony Posawatz, Peter Rawlinson, and Janet S. Wong have been elected as directors by the stockholders. Each candidate received more than a plurality of the votes cast at the meeting. Ratification of the selection of Grant Thornton LLP as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending December 31, 2022 has been approved by the stockholders by more than a majority of the votes cast at the meeting. The approval on an advisory basis of the compensation of our named executive officers has been approved by the stockholders by more than a majority of the votes cast at the meeting. 1 year has been approved as the preferred frequency of future stockholders' advisory votes on the compensation of our named executive officers by the stockholders. 1 year received more than a plurality of the votes cast at the meeting. I hereby request that the final report of the Inspector of Election be filed with the minutes of this meeting. Apologies. The amendment, Peter, apologies. One more announcement. The amendment to the Lucid Group Incorporated 2021 Stock Incentive Plan has been approved by stockholders by more than a majority of the votes cast at the meeting. And I now hereby request that the final report of the Inspector of Election be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
You have now heard the results of the voting, and this completes the business to be conducted at this meeting. Since there are no other matters to come before the meeting is adjourned.
Well, that was very... I'll keep it on just in case they say anything more, but... Okay, that's all she wrote. Okay. Well, like I said at the beginning, this is my first one I've ever participated in. Looks like everything that they had and asked for was approved, even point number 5. Peter doesn't look like he was elected as one of the directors. So take that how you see that. Maybe that's a positive, negative, whatever it is. They did ask kind of answer my question. Because ideally, looking here, they said it's based on the market conditions, because I was saying point number 5, which was approval of the amendment of the Lucid Group Inc. 2021 stock incentive plan. In here, they're saying that they're going to be doing roughly about 15 million issuing shares for employees, which in general I have no issue with, but the vesting, which ultimately is how long it gets locked in for, it says here it's only 1 to 2 years, which from what he said and how he answered my question, it's I guess it's based on market condition. So that seems to be the consensus, which makes sense. I was looking for maybe more of a structured, maybe I didn't ask it right, but I was looking for a little bit more structured thing, because if you read this, it says this is given to employees and also can be technically contractors, directors, non-employee directors. Okay. So contractors, no, I think it's on the previous page. Where is it? For sure, regardless, whatever it is, I know it's majority going to employees for retention purposes and other factors. So I have no issue with that. Just I was looking for a little bit longer of a vesting, ideally, period, but whatever. Clearly 1 to 2 years is what they are maintaining. So Lee, as far as going back to that, I think rumor is that it's around 2,000. Yeah, Ben, like I said, I've never really done that. So is the Tesla one a little bit more exciting, or how is that? Like, have you guys any of you guys participated in previous shareholder meetings? I've voted before, never actually participated, like as far as paying attention or listening to the actual call, which even you can see based on the ticker, nothing that came from today was really like influence the price. Like it's been pretty flat. If anything, I think the market's just driving where it is going right now. But like I said, point number 5 is the most, point number 1, directors technically do have a lot of goods and can, in some ways, affect how the business is run. So I think point number 1 was a big deal. Same with point number 5, because even at market conditions, right, $277 million, that's basically the dilution, what is coming for us. Which ultimately isn't too much based on everything. It's like 30 cents or 40 cents, something like that. So it's not that big of a deal, but still it affects the actual price of the stock. So people should care about point number 5 out of anything. But it was unanimously voted for in favor of that. So I don't know. I don't know if people actually pay attention to that or just vote in favor or just use them as proxies and they can vote whatever they choose. Okay, Ben. Okay, that's interesting. Elon talking about the official business. Well, I guess Elon would have, especially over the last several years, had a lot more to talk on. Maybe I should start participating more in these shareholder meetings. But even like right here, like majority of them I don't even open. I think I was just expecting the Lucid one. What's this for? This one is for voting for, what company is this? Brookfield Asset Management. See, so that one I really don't even care about. It's just junk to me. So that's why a majority of them I don't even open, but that's good to know. Maybe I will start participating in a little bit more. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Can't really change it at this point. It's all been passed. Very formal. Cool thing is they asked my question. I'm happy about that. I guess my fault. I didn't really word it the way I ideally wanted it to come across. Again, I kind of wanted it in more of a laddered approach, but still, even leading up to that, it looks like it was unanimously voted in favor. So nothing really, I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is. But overall, I think the market's doing not too bad, considering with all the fear and talk about recessions and like oil prices. Everything is just all affecting a lot of these big growth stocks right now. Oddly enough, oil is negative. It just briefly touched and turned negative right now, but still a lot of other growth stocks are not necessarily kind of doing what they should be right now. On a side note, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you liked that shareholder meeting as much as I did. Definitely, yeah. Not sure if I like Peter and execs getting all the cash without the sales numbers being great. Yeah, oh, looks like John already answered that. Yeah, Arif, it doesn't, yeah, it's not just cash compensation. That's hilarious. Felt like a murder trial. Yeah, I think in general, like, going forward, even participating now in, was it 3 earnings for Lucid? That is one thing they need to improve. I like Sherry. She has done a very good job in previous earnings, but they need to get a little bit more exciting. Like, it didn't, like, the fact that even in our chat here we're saying it sounds like Siri's talking, like, that is, I think that's a, like, I get this is technically a very formal meeting. They followed the paths and everything that they needed to talk on, but still, like, you need to have some excitement or something. I don't know. But I think that's something that Lucid in general needs to improve on, because over the last several meetings it's been the same thing. Has felt a little bit more of a murder trial, or Johnny Depp is up there, and I don't know. But still, whatever. I guess there's room for improvement. They're still trying to find the right niche, and they've also had the magnifying glass on them for quite some time, especially having all this high expectation, and some of which, especially production-wise, they haven't actually lived up to that. So they're trying to be very cautious with their words. They can't just be like Elon Bag, you know what? F you guys. I have private funding. Like they don't do that. So yeah, you know what, Marbat, I kind of agree with that. Like, having a video conference. Actually, Ben, since you participated in the Tesla one, did Elon, well, I guess, did they do it virtual? I would assume, maybe. But yeah, I would have figured, since we're doing a virtual meeting, that it would have been video. But still, whatever. It's yeah, it's interesting. Might be one of those scenarios, like, who was it? Wasn't one of the big analysts, somehow he was doing a video call for Bloomberg, and he kind of stood up prematurely and wasn't wearing any pants. Maybe they don't want that kind of scenario. I don't know what COVID has caused us to do or something. I have no idea. Maybe that's, I don't know. Can only speculate at this point. But still, exciting stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, like I said, as much as I did. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe. I like doing Lucid content and all that fun stuff. And yeah, if you guys want to chat about anything, let me know in the chat. I can definitely bring up anything you'd like. Go over some data points from today, or just talk about today overall. As far as today, these are every single trade, so it's kind of a little bit overwhelming, even $39 overall for premium, so it shows absolutely everything. A little bit too much info to some cases. But I think right now, everyone is going to be eyeing CPI data coming out tomorrow. So I think tomorrow might be a very important deciding factor on where things go. And I think, in general, we should see a little bit more upside. Even based on the technicals, like, things are wanting to go up. Things have been kind of edging and trying to get higher. Like, we still have the same level of fear over the last several weeks, but yet Lucid has been going up because we've been having a very good product and good news coming out. Just right news, wrong time. That's basically it. Yeah, Marbet. I think Peter, probably most of the exec team doesn't have any pants on right now when they were doing that. Especially if they, were virtual and weren't there. Why not? Well, Tab. So I did a live stream yesterday, just briefly talked on that. If we hypothetically, if that rumor is true that we're at 2,000, that shows since April, our month-over-month rate, because if the April numbers, which they said were 400 produced, 300 delivered, if we keep that momentum going, and we had that recall that showed 1,117 vehicles were affected, insinuating 460 vehicles were produced by the beginning of May to about 3/4 in. If we continue that route, then we will hit our numbers. We need to increase a month-over-month rate of roughly about 15%, if not more. And I think if the 2,000 is correct, then that most likely shows that we are at roughly about 20% from the May to June, or somewhere around there. So I think we're definitely going to be fairly good. Q2 numbers in general, because that's at the end of June, I believe. That's when the cutoff for that will be. So most likely probably around 2,500 ideally. So I don't know. That's just a very rough guess. I could easily do a little bit more of a deeper dive and calculation into that, but that's where I would kind of generally put it at. But if there's no further questions, I will bid you adieu, and make sure you guys subscribe, because I'm going to be doing a Lucid video a little bit, so get that out before market close as well. But yeah, it was fun shareholder meeting. Like I said, thanks for coming out, and you guys all have a good rest of the day. Thanks, guys.